absolutely. Like I said in the first episode, stop sending people to Mars. Stop, looking at the testicular cancer in chameleons or whatever you're wasting money. Do the human thing and take care of humans. That's what should be important to us. And I think everything gets back to being normal.
Yeah. Stop subsidizing billionaires.
Yeah.
I still don't understand that. Why are we giving money to the wealthiest people for their pet projects? And they should be able to do it themselves.
And this the South Carolina tax cut thing, like what I've read about it is it doesn't help any poor people. It's just giving
the
tax.
Flat tax.
Yeah, it puts more burden on the little guy.
Hold on, I was reading something about it.
And it helps out the rich guy.
Well, there just aren't enough wealthy people in South Carolina for that to work here.
Well, I'm all about fair taxation. I really am. But if we're getting all the industry that the master says we are, and we're getting all this port in Charleston and all that, at some point we should not need income tax off of anybody.
It would raise the taxes for 60% of filers.
60% of the people in South Carolina would pay more in taxes.
Yes.
I'm in that 60%. You're in that 60%,
yes.
I'm sure.
Yes. So, how is that good?
But we
so
get nicer.
It's the middle class. It's you're taxing the middle class.
So what else we want to talk about?
Let's see. Senior citizens was one of the topics.
I love talking about old people.
And
what about old people? Is it offensive to say old people?
No, it depends on who's saying it and what we're considering old people.
Yeah.
To our kids, we're old people.
That's true. Old people. Medicare, Medicaid.
Taxes, medical cost, and transportation. So it would be interesting to see. I'm sure that the flat tax would affect senior citizens.
Well, we got an aging community. We've been diagnosed as displaced retiree capital of South Carolina. I think that one of the planning commissioners said that that's where all the displaced retirees come. But then, how many older folks live at the far fringes of the county that have been there all their life, and now they're getting to a point where they can't get to it, and we don't have a public transportation system to get them there.
No, and people don't want it. And here again, I keep going back to Walhalla, but that's where I live and that's where I grew up. They didn't want that when we had the CAT bus, and that's still up in the air as far as I know how the funding and the future of the CAT bus in Oconee will be. People are so dead set against the CAT bus coming to Walhalla. There are so many folks, like older folks, that don't drive anymore. They can't, or
right.
they can't see, or they've had their license taken, and they have to go to the doctor. And if something happens to them, what do? They call the ambulance.
Well, they do have that Senior Solutions bus system in the county.
Yeah, but
when my mother-in-law was living with us before she got moved into Island Oil, we were looking at options to get her to all her appointments that, which becoming a huge burden on us. And so I called those folks up, and it was like $90 from round trip from our house to Seneca.
Uber would be cheaper than that.
And I was like, but if she's got 3 appointments a week, four times a month, it was like, that's gonna be like $25,000. It was ridiculous. So all the money she was getting from Medicaid or Medicare or Social Security or whatever it was she's getting, would have been in transportation.
Yeah.
There was no food, no clothes, no fun, none of that. I mean, and now she's atrophied to a point where she can't leave, care.
Yeah.
It's not a problem. But there's people that are in that fringe of life where they're going to spend a whole lot of money in transportation to get there that they don't really need to spend. I mean, or we should, as society, should be doing something to help them out.
Well, and that you got, like, the cat bus, I believe, is free. So, I mean, just look at the expense. I mean, of driving. Like, you think about Walhalla to Clemson. Say your doctor's in Clemson. I mean, I don't know how elderly people on a fixed income handle it. If all you got was a Social Security check every month, and say your doctor is in Clemson, and older folks have to go to the doctor, and say they have a cardiologist too, and they're going to the doctor 2 or 3 times a month. I mean, and then, trips to the grocery store and stuff. I mean, there needs to be something. And like you said, if it's something like $90, they're not going to be able to afford that. But here again, folks are more worried about the idea that a homeless person might use that bus to ride somewhere and come to Walhalla, as though there are no homeless people in Walhalla already, than elderly people being able to get around. I mean, it's like, it's the same argument like with charities. Like, well, somebody might take advantage of it. Somebody might
Everybody's
take it and not need it. It's kind of,
everybody's going to take advantage of something sometime.
Yeah, there's always
never
going to be bad actors.
Right.
There's
Right. Yeah,
so, but that's no reason to deprive the people that need it of it. So my argument to people was always that the courthouse is in Walhalla. It's the county seat. And there's so many people that have missed court dates and been getting more trouble, and the court system's so backed up. If you had the bus coming there, they got a way to get there, and they got a way to go back home.
Right. Well, if you look at the police blotter, you look at the arrests and who goes to jail, most of them are bench warrants from the magistrate
Failure to appear.
Because they can't get there.
They can't get there, and they can't, and then they get stuck and they can't get back home when they do get there. So, yeah, that would eliminate a lot of that, because that's just clogging up the court system, too. To me, it's a no-brainer.
Well,
public transportation is a good thing and part of a functioning county.
But if you had public transportation, there would be so many fewer driving without a license, driving without this, people would actually have an option.
Right.
I've got to go and do this, but I got no way to get there, so I'm just going to have to drive this car that I can't afford to register.
Yeah.
Well, now you're
or
in
pay
this
insurance on,
damn
or
cycle that you can't get out of, but we're making it worse.
Yeah, because like the driving without insurance, I think the fees and the fines and stuff are upwards toward $4,000 or something.
So yeah, I'll tell you a little story about that. My daughter lived here. She went back to Texas. She wrecked a car, and it was totaled. Like everybody else in South Carolina, I parked it in the yard. Well, I called Julian Davis, said they take the insurance off. Well, I didn't take the tag back to the DMV.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
It was a bad move.
It was a real bad move. So I'm doing something, and I'm trying to use my driver's license, and it comes back that I've got a suspended license. Well, what the hell for? I'm a criminal, right? Because why? Well, so I go down to the DMV. I had my wife drive me down there because I'm suspended license. And I walk in, and I walk up and I go to this fella, and he looks at me, and I tell him what I'm there for. And he says, "You don't look like the kind of person that would have a suspended driver's license." I was like, "I don't know what they look like, but I'm one of them." And I said, what happened? And he said, well, you didn't turn the tag in, and you had this uninsured vehicle. I said, it won't drive. It's been in a wreck and it's totaled. And he said, I don't care. It's $400 to get my license reinstated. $400. And a whole lot of ass pain for that ridiculousness. I
And
just
a
didn't know.
crumpled ball of metal in your yard
Yeah.
that you couldn't even drive.
But then he took the tag. I paid $400 for it. I should have got to keep the tag. But no.
Put it
But
on the wall.
anyways, it's really easy to become a criminal in South Carolina.
Yeah.
So be careful. Well, I think we've talked it to death today. I've really enjoyed it. I hope episode 2 was fun for everybody watching. You gave us the topics. We talked about them. Give us
I don't think we hit all of them, but we'll get
Well,
there.
Yeah, we're learning. Give us some more topics. We'll talk again, and we'll come at you next Wednesday, probably. So y'all take care. It's good
Have a
seeing
good
you.
weekend. Be safe.